Howdy folks, I'm Rebecca Jolly, the Jolly Alchemist, and as you can tell, I've been not doing my homework again. Actually, I did do my homework, which is the studying part, but I couldn't again do the actual recording part of it because the feeling wasn't there. And the feeling of something needed to be there until before I could do the video at all, or else I was going to have to jack up my schedule and wait. But luckily it did come. And it's actually in reference to our cross today. Let's talk about it. We are looking at a transit report for Wednesday, the 12th of November, 2025. This is the right angle cross of explanation in the fourth quarter, line 2. And the relevant gate and line definitions here are dedication, unique insights through mental processes, and self-defense, the defense of individual clarity. And I can, I believe, show you this here. Oi. There. Okay. And what I'm going to talk about today is largely based on insights and experience that I've had in a life of raising children primarily out of the school system. And this arises because I've been having talks with a woman who is raising a child ostensibly in human design. So she's got a manifesting generator child, and she's trying her best to accommodate that child in a way that will be honoring its design. But it's difficult because she herself doesn't really understand that much of human design, even though she's teaching human design. And she knows very little also about parenting. And there are some things, I mean, not everything, that I learned by being a homeschooling parent and making mistakes and doing some things the hard way, but also having done some things very much the right way and not regretting those things. And I have to say, okay, so much to say. First of all, what I want to say is that I agree with the videos online that talk about the method of raising children called Ferberizing being one of the greatest injustices and indignities perpetuated on the human species to date. And that is the concept of letting babies cry, in the mistaken idea that they're somehow going to learn to self-soothe and they'll meet their own needs, and you'll be able to come back later when they're okay, and then it'll be fine. Because that's absolutely not true. I've learned through much study. Alice Miller, the German psychologist, has a lot to say on this as well. And really the long and short of her whole entire career is basically to say what makes children into serial killers and sociopaths of all different sorts and basically broken people is leaving them alone. Children must never, ever get the impression that they are completely alone, because it is when they are completely alone that, long story short, they go crazy. They don't have the outside to give them the moral support. They have to have something, even if it's just a journal, even if it's just a place to hide and feel that nature is their friend. They have to be able to feel that they are not alone in their struggles. And it is that exact dynamic of feeling that they are alone in their struggles, whether they are a baby or a toddler or a child of any age. They can put up with any kind of trauma as long as they have one thing with them: a teacher, a parent, a friend, a journal, an AI, something, so that they are not alone. And she tracks, Alice Miller does, of course, the childhoods of some of our most famous broken people, including Hitler, and shows that, yeah, they were putting up with a bunch of trauma. Hitler did not have that unusual of a childhood, but he was absolutely beaten and he was left alone with it. And that breaks the minds of humans. It just does. So there's that. And I wanted to swing back onto the subject of expanding a little bit more on why it is that I believe that the best thing that we can do for children is to eradicate the schools, and what I would prefer that we do instead. Because I absolutely believe that the schools provide a homogenizing influence and a brainwashing influence that is absolutely on a daily basis demonstrably damaging our future. But I'm not sure I spoke about what I consider to be a better alternative. I did mention that I had seen something about the idea in Starhawk's The Fifth Sacred Thing. What she has is a society, a community, where the children can just run around, and there are like little, basically it's making their entire city, their entire world into a museum for children. There's fruit trees everywhere. The children all belong to all of the people, even if they go home and sleep with their own parents. They have freedom to go where they want and do what they want to do. There's little plaques and things to show children how things work, like say at a place where you could see the stars in the evening. There's something showing like, oh, if you look, you would see, this constellations, or something about the way the moon rises and falls, or, whatever. You go by a little pond and there's a little infographic there saying about frogs and dragonflies and mosquito larvae and, ecological subjects. And the kids know that if they want to know more about a certain subject, all they have to do is ask somebody, and that somebody will guide them to the place where they can learn more about their chosen subject. I think all too often we assume that children will not learn unless they are forced to learn, and that is patently ridiculous, as anyone with a 3-year-old has ever known. They have so many more questions than any parent has answers. And that is, of course, yet another reason why children need to be raised by villages and not by single parents or even double parents. Because it's my opinion that every single child that's brought into the world deserves at least one full-time, 24-hour adult dedicated to their care and giving them the attention and the resources that they need. And of course, we rarely, pretty much never see that happening. Another thing that I think would be a really, really good idea, besides unmooring children from their parents and allowing it to be okay for children to leave their parents if they feel they are not getting a good deal. Now, I know that there's lots of times that, little Jenny believes that because she wasn't allowed 3 cookies instead of 2, she's going to leave home. But if you say, okay, little Jenny, you can go down to the neighborhood shelter, which is specifically for children and specifically stocked with everything children need to survive, and they're allowed to come anytime they want, and they're allowed to leave anytime they want and go back home or find a better home if they want one. Little Jenny is going to come home if home is a place worth coming home to. Now, I understand that entails an entire reworking and a restructuring of our society. And of course, my partner is always really quick to say, completely unrealistic, swell idea, but it's never happening, it's not ever going to happen. So why are you dwelling on something that's so completely impractical? And I have to say, well, it does sound pretty crazy and out of the realm of possibility at this stage, but I think that we're in a really exciting and wonderful part of history right now where the truth is that we have on the planet currently all of the resources and all of the knowledge and all of the skills and all of the technology, literally every single thing we need in order to fix our planet, and that we could, in a matter of 3 to 5 years, maximum of 5 years, and that's only because that's how long it takes some trees to grow. Uh, Reorganize the entire planet so that there would be no one who needed to be hungry, no one needed to go without shelter, no one who needed to go without food, and everyone could be free to find work that brought them joy or supported their needs actually, and we could heal and help each other and come back around. It's simply a matter of reprioritizing and organizing the resources that we have as a planet instead of having just a few billionaires at the top with completely fucked up values having a massively inordinate amount of control over people who are struggling and being wage slaves just to try to get their needs met, to make their bills pay, to eat. Um, and that's my opinion. And I absolutely see as a revolutionary this being a true possibility, and it's just a matter of getting the world's attention for enough time to be able to explain the details of that in enough in exactly the right way so that it reaches everyone at the same time, and we can organize a group of people who are actually concerned with the welfare of all life on the planet, and not just white people, and not just boys, and not just rich people, and not just people at all. And this group of people could do their work with full transparency and bring the answers out and let that be a changing force in the whole entire world. And I hope that if such a thing happened, that there would be people like me on that board who not only have an idea of how that can be done, but also have an idea of how to explain how that can be done to people. So if there's not anybody better to be on that committee, I volunteer, because I care about all the babies being born and all the things happening, and how this swings around to our 43 and 23 line 2 is it's about a natural gift of being dedicated to the insight. This is really what this fourth quarter explanation is about. We have 4 versions of the cross of explanation, and that means every single one of those top 4 gates is featured in one of them. So we have right now we have the 43 and the 23, and then in the supporting energy we have the 4 and the 49. So when we have the 4 in the top position, we have explainers being born who are wanting to say the answers. And when we have the 49s being in the top, we have people wanting to explain how the revolution can be done. And when we have the 23 at the top, we have people wanting to just explain their truth. They're just trying to speak it. And then we have this version, which is in the last version and the one that's really based on transformation, which is about translating the insights that come from the universe and literally bringing them into being in an auditory process so that the wisdom of things that are beyond human wisdom so far can come into the world and hopefully create a mutation that can hold and keep and actually change. And of course, as Ra has said, that kind of mutation can never really be measured within the lifetime of a human. He himself said that he recognized very well that the things that he was writing and the things that he was doing would not actually be properly valued in his own lifetime, but only on consideration long after he was dead and many changes had been made to his system. He knew it would be modified, and he already saw it being modified in his lifetime. But the true measure is, if you're looking back on it 100 years later, can that person be actually seen to have been responsible for making a solid mutation in society? And that is actually the goal of my life. So here I am, trying to do my homework, trying to face my fears, trying to become love every day as much as I can so that I can be the best thing that I have inside myself to be, not only for myself, not only for my children, but for every single other living being on this planet, because the world needs a mother. This is my conclusion. The world needs a mother. The world needs somebody to stand up and take responsibility for everything and say, all right, kids, we've had enough toys out. We've made enough messes. Now it's time to clean up. Now it's time to take care of our garbage. Now it's time to use our prefrontal cortices and plan for the future, to properly prioritize life so that life can be arranged to the benefit of the people who are living now and the people who are coming, rather than the people who are dying and trying to maintain a way of life that belongs in the graveyard. Capitalism and patriarchy and racism and sexism and the tyranny of the masses by the few, these times are properly over. They're done. We know that they're not good. They're not good for the little people. They're not good for the big people. They're not making anybody happy. So, the relation from this to the transit is that I'm taking the opportunity to say, in an unscripted way, these are the things that I think are truly important on this planet. And I am doing everything that I can every single day to fit myself for this work so that when the call is there, I will be ready to answer and say whatever it is that this planet requires, whether it's a mother, whether it's a savior, whether it's a general, whether it's a martyr, whether it's an analyst, whether it's somebody to kick ass and take names. I will be ready to participate in that work so that things can be made better for others than they were for me or for other people that I see getting the short end of the stick. It's fine for some people to choose harder lives than others. I'm not saying that struggling needs to be completely eradicated, because I clearly see in the nature of human design that some people are designed for struggle, and struggle is good for some people, but it's not good for everyone, and it's not necessary for everyone. And I think that it's good enough. We don't need artificial struggle. We have enough real struggles going on. So I'm reading more all the time, thinking more all the time, refining my capabilities of explaining all the time so that those things can get smaller and smaller so that I can have the opportunity to say everything that needs to be said in, say, a press conference, rather than needing to write a novel that nobody really wants to read about it. So, that's me. That's today. Tomorrow is my birthday, and that really doesn't matter except for the fact that we are going to be talking about my exact birth energy tomorrow. And tomorrow I will be giving basically myself a birthday reading for the next year, and it will not only serve to show people who are watching who I am, sort of what I'm designed for and what I can look for in the energies for myself next year, but also to give you folks an idea of the kinds of things you can hope to expect when you come to me for a birthday reading or a solar reading. So that's it. Take care of yourselves. And thank goodness for explainers, because the world has great need of them, as it does for all of us, really being in and living our true selves and our full capacity outside of what our designs actually are. But all that can get explained later. Until then,